so going up, preparing to live stream. Oh dear. Oh, what a lovely thing to see on a Friday morning. I have to say that. I think we are streaming live. Let's just see, because you know it's going to always live stream. Here we go. Oh, what a lovely thing to see on a Friday morning. I have to say that. Okay. Oh my gosh. Quit that. Yeah. Morning, ladies.
Morning. Good morning.
Happy Friday. It is, isn't it? See, my Fridays are just the best because I know that I'm surrounded by beautiful faces and it's just like a Friday party, right? Maybe not be out, I'm in, but I have you and that's all that matters. So today, everyone, hello, good morning, anyone that's watching. I haven't shared it on my Facebook. Should I share it? Talk amongst yourselves, have a little chat for a minute. I want to share it quickly. And then, yeah, give me a second. Talk about the weather. It's hot.
It's the hottest thing. It's the hottest day of our year so far, isn't it? Well, in the UK anyway, not in France.
What are you getting there?
I think it's like 33, 34 today.
Oh, cool. That's
my dad said it was like 100.
41 here.
41.
Oh my days. Oh, I'm getting there.
It was like 25 at 7 o'clock this morning. So.
Yeah. It was quite warm here. It was already sort of 20 degrees at 7 o'clock or something.
Yeah, I'm never ever going to complain about the sun, ever.
No, that's true.
Having lived 40 years in the UK, I'm very happy in the sunshine.
Can you go river swimming nearby? Anywhere to go for
there's a lake here near the village. Oh, nice. There's a lake with a beach and everything, so
lovely.
Amazing.
A proper swimming lake, so yeah, we have that, but we're a long way from the sea. Which is hard for me. I love the sea. I grew up by the sea, but I miss it.
I love the sea too. I love the sea. I've shared. We're live on it. All the platforms. We're platform surfing babes. Okay, so morning everyone, all over YouTube land, Facebook land. Can't share it to Instagram, but that's a thing, you know, because you can share from Instagram to Facebook, but you can't share from Facebook to Instagram. Did you know that?
No.
And I'm sure that I think it's Facebook that own Instagram, or Instagram own, don't they?
Yeah.
So that is a weird question. Why on earth you can't do that? And you can't stream live video. Well, you can stream live videos on Instagram, but there's something about you can't post links. You can't post website links on Instagram. It is literally pictures or videos. So yeah, anyway, just a bit of pointless information I thought I'd give out to the world today. So Facebook, sort it out, please. Sort it out. So today, talking big business, we're talking about Facebook, talking about YouTube, talking about every single big company that there is out there and what they do for our lives, how powerful now the technology is, it's become, and it changes everything that we do in life, the way that we think, the way that we shop, the way that we want to buy things, the way that we choose the things that we have around us in our lives, how we behave, how we communicate, not only just to each other, but also to big businesses or small businesses as well. So how we communicate, how we purchase things. It is a flipping monstrosity. It is a machine. It is big business. It's a machine. So it can be obviously looked at two different ways, the good way, and also, I can't say bad way because there's no such thing as a bad, but different perspectives look at different parts of business in different ways. Are we giving these businesses too much power? Are we giving our control over and handing them over open-heartedly to these companies that have ultimate say of what we like, what we don't like, what we choose and what we can't buy, what gets isolated out, what you're able to actually purchase if they decide that they want to sell it. It's very subjective. So today we did speak about this last week with big business, and I had Susanna and Kate. It was just the three of us last week, wasn't it, Kate? Was it? Yeah. Rain. Wind it up. So this week, Susanna is out in a beautiful place somewhere in France, as you do. You're already in a beautiful place in France, aren't you, Kate? And Anna's in good old Essex with me, aren't you, babe? Oh no,
No,
you're not. You're in good old UK with me. But you know what? The sun is shining. My dad said it was like 100 degrees today, so embrace it. It's like we could be anywhere, right? We could be absolutely anywhere, apart from the thing that I miss, which is like white, golden, soft sand and that crystal turquoise beaches and waterfalls. So if anyone watching us has any ideas,
they have that up in Scotland.
Have they? Or white sandy
white beaches up there? Yeah.
Do they?
I
have waterfalls.
Not coral white, but
it's the softness. It's like silk under your feet, isn't it?
Never been. I've no idea.
Oh, Kate, one day we shall meet together. Oh. Kate's coming. Yeah. So that's the only thing I miss about, Caribbean, really. But no, and the vibes. I know we are what we think we are. We are where we think we are. So if I imagine I'm under soft foot, I can just go down B&Q and buy some sand, really, can't I? Spread it on the grass, sit by my pond and just dangle my feet in there. I'm in the Caribbean. So anyway, that is a different subject. Today, we're talking about big business. And we've got Anna today. This is my point. I've just gone all around the houses to get to the front gate. And Anna, it was Anna's idea to talk about this in the first place, and she's got loads to say. So I'm really going to pass it over to you, Anna, and then we'll just talk about it and discuss it. And we'll go from there. So Anna, all yours.
Well, thank you. It was quite funny. It links in with what you were just saying before, actually, about Facebook owning Instagram. And there was a really interesting sort of live bit of a grilling, actually, that the big tech companies got a couple of weeks ago in Washington. So there was Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google. And they were asked all kinds of questions because obviously they're huge companies. They do dominate the market. I think Facebook own WhatsApp and Instagram and some others and what have you. And this is certainly not to say these people are bad, these things are bad, because if it wasn't for these huge companies, we wouldn't be here right now having this conversation. We wouldn't be able to communicate with people all around the world. Through Facebook, I have connected to so many people in my past or different, I've lived in lots of different places. If it wasn't for Facebook, I wouldn't still be in touch with these people. You wouldn't have I've got quite a big social circle, and a lot of that is thanks to things like Facebook. But it's just about being sort of careful as well, and being aware that, these companies do hold a lot of information about us, and we can be easily influenced. And as we know, sort of studying NLP, the things that you read, the things that you see can affect the way you think, the way you behave, the way you feel. So it was just kind of, there was lots of questions asked, lots of really interesting questions actually at this place. And they really did get a grilling, like the top big tech guys.
Good.
They did get a grilling. But it was really interesting, and it makes you think, because, these companies between them, they hold a lot of information about us. They know what we search for. They know our entire search history. They know what we eat, what we shop for. They know what we like, what we don't like. They know who our friends are, who we speak to, who we message, who we email, your likes, your dislikes. And I think there was a bit of controversy a few years back. I think when in 2016 we had the referendum, and there was a big thing, it was all over the news about this company, Cambridge Analytica. Do you know about this?
Yes.
And so it was about, they're not a company anymore, but it was about, they were able to get a lot of information about lots of people, lots and lots of information. And through this information, they could kind of tell prior to the referendum who might be susceptible to the Leave campaign. And I'm not getting political. I'm not even going to go into whether you should or shouldn't, whatever it is. But what they did was they were able to identify people who might be quite susceptible, who perhaps haven't made their mind up one way or another. And they would then flood their sort of social media feeds with things that would sway them to vote Leave. So and there was lots of things like, quite sort of inflammatory things, whether it's about illegal immigrants and that kind of thing, be fearful. And it was proven that they kind of did this, and it had a huge influence on the referendum. So I think but that's, you know, that's a long time ago. But my point really is, we can be so influenced by what we see, whether it's images, whether it's words. And it made me think, it was kind of making me think, you know, when you think about big, you know, political campaigns, for example, what they know people are really susceptible to is things like repetition. And the more you repeat a certain word or show a particular image, whether it's true or not, it still kind of sits within your subconscious. So another great example would be the Theresa May campaign, we're strong and stable, strong and stable, strong and stable. And this slogan was repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. It was all over the news. Every time Theresa May was asked a question, she'd mention, well, I'm strong and our leadership is stable. And it's fascinating because it's so, so powerful, just that repetition. So the point that you could end up kind of going out in public and asking somebody, what do you think of, you know, Theresa May? Oh, well, she's strong and stable. And it's like people become brainwashed, you know, and they almost think that they're, you know, oh, these are my own words, these are my own thoughts, but they're not. You're being like, it's like a subliminal message that you're constantly being fed. So the reason I'm talking about this is, again, not to be political. It's because I think people have a right to be aware of what's happening, to be able to protect themselves. Because if we're that susceptible to these kind of messages, and social media can bombard us with this stuff, it can be quite dangerous to ourselves. It's a bit like when you think about people who are in an abusive emotional relationship. You know, you hear people that have suffered with a partner who said things like every single day, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're worthless, nobody likes you. You can hear it once and perhaps cast it off, but repetition, even if it's not true, can get stuck in your mind and you end up believing it, even if it's absolute nonsense. Yeah. So really what I wanted to talk about today is it's being aware, everything you see, everything you read, question everything and ask, well, where's the evidence for that? Just because somebody says something like, you know, for example, you know, England is rubbish. England is the worst country in the world. If enough people said that all around the world, people will start going, I'm not going to England, it's rubbish, don't want to go there. Question everything. Just because a newspaper says it, just because it's on social media, it doesn't mean it's true. So by questioning things, I think by questioning everything and becoming aware, we're then able to start to take control of ourselves. Yeah. And you start to see how often these things and these slogans are repeated. And then it becomes really interesting because you start to look around and in society, you hear people talking and repeating the same thing. And it's like, wow, this stuff is so powerful. Yeah. So yeah, the first sort of thing I wanted to talk about is by being aware, we then are able to take control.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because there's two things. I was watching on Facebook, I can't remember who shared it. It might have even been you, I'm not sure. It was only the other day, and it was people in a doctor's surgery, and they did a social experiment. And I was watching it the other day, and they had 12 people in a room, and 11 of them were actors, and one of them was real. They were in a waiting room. And so every time a buzzer went off, there was like a ting, and everybody stood up. And now the person that was sitting down didn't know what the hell was going on. Obviously, she's looking around and seeing everyone stand up. And so the pair of the people, she was like, okay, I better stand up. So she stood up. Then she sat down again when everyone sat down. Again, they did it. Bing! And everyone stood up. So she's looking around and she's like, okay, we'll stand up and then sit down. And then one person gets called into the doctors. Same thing. Bing! Stands up. She stands up. Everyone sits down. Same thing. All the way down to when there's no one left in the room apart from her. And they did the ting and she stood up, sat down. And that is absolutely incredible because we relate this to this.
Yeah.
This ting means we have to stand up. It's only because we're being told, because we're seeing everyone else doing it. Are we sheep? Have we not got a mind? Because we don't know. And all we know is what we know. And we're being guided and told by the whole world around us, you know, but what we really know is what is real. What do we know? And we're following. We're openly, blindly following the leader. Maybe we need to turn around and be the leader. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was that one thing. And also the other thing, it's like scratching a wound, you know, with a scar. And you're picking away at it, repetition. The wound's going to heal, heal, until the point where it doesn't heal anymore and you're left with that scar. So you were saying about the people in abusive relationships, it is exactly that. You know, you get told once that you're not worth it, you can brush that off. You get told twice, and then you got told by a few different people maybe that you're not worth it, or you're starting to hear it a little bit more around you because that's what you're accustomed to hearing. You know, maybe there are a few people around you that are jealous of you or are not entitled to be with your worthiness, you know, and they're saying negative things, and then you're picking up on that more, and that creates that scar. But those scars can be revisited and looked, and as NLP master practitioners and practitioners, we do that. And so anybody that's watching with wounds or scars or that has worthiness problems, please do not just feel that you have nowhere to go. Don't feel that there's nothing you can do about it and that you are worthless, because you can empower yourselves. You can empower yourselves, and you can take control of that situation, and you can start telling yourself and believing every single word that comes out of your mouth. Create the world that you want to live in. You don't have to be attracting all negativity and believing the negativity that's being sent into your world. Just your brain distorts, deletes, and generalize. So start focusing on the stuff that is important to make you feel better. Ran over. Come see us. Come and see us. Don't ever suffer. Never suffer. Never suffer. Come see us. Great.
Yeah, I mean, the things that came up for me were, yeah, when we're programmed. I mean, I'm just thinking about, like, when, as you get older, you start saying things and you start talking like your parents talked. Even if you hated the things they said, you start saying what they said. You start, oh, actually, I sound just like my mother. You know, you just can't believe it. And I think that it is that this programming and this repetition, the more you hear this stuff, it becomes your own program. You know, even if it's coming from outside, eventually, like you were saying, you start speaking it. And then when you speak it, you're just reinforcing it even more. And the other thing is, by doing that, by speaking, the words that you speak creates your reality. And so then you are then seeing only that. So if I say, I don't know, I'm rubbish at art, say, if I believe that, or if I speak it, even if I don't really believe it, but I say it because it's the right thing to say in this society or whatever, because I'm around these people that they believe it, so I must say it too, then all I will see is the evidence that reinforces that. I won't see anything that shows me that I am good at art. It's only going to show me all the things, all the times that I'm crap at it, and everything else I'll ignore completely. It's a little bit like, we were doing some work on our chimney the other day, and everywhere I drove, I just saw chimneys. I was just it was in my mind because chimneys were at the front of my mind. And so all I was doing was seeing people's chimneys. I wasn't noticing anything else. It was just, they were just, I don't normally look at chimneys anytime, you know, not normally, they're not attractive to my mind in any way. And yet suddenly I'm seeing these chimneys. And that's what we do. And that's what we do when we program ourselves. And other people started off maybe, or we get this idea. So I think when I was very young, everyone would praise my little sister for how beautiful she was, because she pretty, really pretty, my sister.
Like you.
Yeah, but this is I'm a little child, remember? So I don't know anything. And so I'm hearing my sister being praised for her beauty, and I'm being praised for my brains, for what I can do, my intelligence and the achievements I made at school. And so for me, my leap in the judgment I made, no one ever told me I wasn't beautiful, but because no one ever praised me for being beautiful, I assumed I wasn't. And so I went through my whole childhood thinking I was quite ugly, and the only valuable thing I had about me were my brains. And so I would excel at school, and that was the way I thought that I would get love and attention, because that's what people praised. And it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, didn't it? Because on and on it went. But it also meant I had very low self-worth and self-esteem, and thought I wasn't attractive and everything else. So, and that screwed up a lot of my decisions about boyfriends and things like that when I was younger. So it took me a long time to realize how much of my life was affected, and my decisions were affected by this belief that I had that no one ever said to me, ever. But I'd made up that decision And so, and that belief had then affected my life for a long time, even to the choice where I didn't have children because I didn't think that I was attractive and I didn't want to have ugly kids. I mean, like this. No, but shit, you know, it's true. And that, but I didn't realize that was what was driving my decision not to have children. It took me a lot of work to work out what it was, and that's what it was. And so these programming that we put in place, now whether it's someone tells us, whether it's on social media, whether it's just something we've assumed, you know, we've got to look at these, and the earlier you do it, the less your decisions are affected by, and your life is affected by them. So they can have major life-changing effects on you. And I think it's important that people are aware of this programming that we all have inside, and we all have it, whether you believe it or not. I mean, I thought I was this strong, independent person, you know, but really I was kind of protecting myself. You know, I was putting on armor and everyone thought how strong I was, but really I was just this scared little child with lots of armor around me, you know. So, and most of us are protecting parts of us in that way, in some way. And so the more we're aware and the more we can be more open and more whole, more get all these parts of us that are all sort of split off because we've suppressed bits of us and things, the more we can bring ourselves back to a whole place that is this core of us, which is good and is just joyful and full of peace and everything else. I mean, I'm not sort of hippie or woo-woo or anything, but there is this part of us that when we access that, everything changes. And when you shine that sort of warmth onto these other parts of you, you can heal anything. And so that's my message, really following on from you guys, is that you can do so much when you do that critical thinking. As we were saying, it's an art, it's a skill and an art. And it's not something you can just intuitively do. You need to learn how. You have to be shown the way through. And I didn't know the way. I knew all the things that were screwing me up in my life, but I didn't know how to change them until I got to doing the training, did a lot of work with positive psychology and stuff like that. But it wasn't until I really experienced it for myself with our NLP work that everything just opened up for me. And it was like, wow, if only I'd done this 30 years ago. So I think it's my message is learn how to be more critical about not just what you're hearing outside, but also what are you saying to yourself inside.
I think that's
how you programming yourself.
Absolutely. And I think as well, a really important thing to say is as well that the people that we tend to listen to are the people that we put the most, we give them the power. We are almost in awe of who they are, what they are, including business. So if you've got a partner, you know, they are what you feel you need at the time, or what you know, they are everything. And so if they're saying that to you, that must mean it's true. Or, you know, if big business, it's the same thing. You know, if they're saying you need this, oh, it must be true. We need this. So be very careful who we empower, because once you empower yourself, exactly like what you said, Kate, as soon as you start empowering yourself and trusting your own decisions, your own beliefs and your own thought processes, then whoever it is, whether it's your parents, you know, your parents brought you into this world. You know, we're brought up to believe that our parents are everything, but not everybody has that same luxury. Not everyone has that privilege in life, that they have that kind of a family that has that strong family. I can't say the word. What's the word? Not everyone's got that same privilege of having that strength of family. So they're growing up thinking that they need to listen to their parents. They need to, everything that's coming out of their mouth is the truth. And that's how we're learning. And that's what we're growing up with, all those programmings. But from a place of now, with all the learnings that you've got right now in your life, and you look back at that past point, what advice would you give that younger you in that situation? What would you say to them? What does that younger you need to hear, so that it then has the perspective of knowing that maybe everything that you're hearing isn't reality, maybe everything that you're hearing isn't the truth, and you know, laid out for bear, that chance to reprogram that younger you, and to just know back then, so that all the little bits and pieces throughout your life can be just laying into place and just feel a bit more at one and at peace with yourself, you know. So yeah, just being empowered yourself and watching exactly who and why you are empowering other things. Okay, Anna.
Yeah. I think there is a, when you're talking about kind of critical thinking, it's, you know, hearing, if people say something to you and it's what you need to ask yourself, well, what's the evidence for that? And it can be little things. Like I'm thinking about back when I was a kid, and my mum and dad on like one of their birthdays, they'd always get an Indian takeaway, and I'd be like, oh, what's that? And they used to say to me, oh, you won't like that, you won't like it. So I didn't try my first Indian food until I was about 24. And everyone was like, seriously? And I went, yeah, because I didn't think I'd like it. So just that one, I carried this all the way along. I won't like it. I've been told I won't like it, so I won't like it. So okay, where was the evidence for that? And when you come to things like social media, for example, another thing you see is you're kind of encouraged to, or incentivized to post things that are really like polarizing. So what you see often on social media is, you know, you've got to be pigeonholed. You're going to either be team left or team right, and there's no in between, but you have to fit in one of those pigeonholes. Which one are you going to be? And if you're in team left, you're not going to get on with anyone from team right, and if you're in team right, you're not going to get on with anyone from team left. And it's crazy, and people are falling out and having wars and dividing, and we see our own country dividing, people, you know, falling out with friends. But this is what social media does, because the algorithms it has wants to create these really polarizing views, because that's what gets the repetitions and the, you know, the repeats and the shares and the engagement. But we're doing it for a social media platform. What you have to question is, hang on, am I really that easily pigeonholed? Am I just completely this or completely that? Because I don't think anybody is completely pigeonholed in anything. I certainly can't be pigeonholed in anything. And I think the more labels we give ourselves as well, it doesn't help, because it helps us all. What it does is divide us all rather than uniting us. Yeah. And again, that's another area where I think social media can be quite dangerous. It's certainly a trap I've fallen into in the past, but it's something I'm becoming more aware of now, because it isn't healthy for me or the people around me. So every time I see something on social, whether it's social media or someone says, you're not going to like this, or you have to be, which team are you? I have to question that and say, okay, where is the evidence for this? Do I just have to be one or the other? Or can I actually get on with lots of different people with lots of different views? And actually the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Who knows what that is? But do I need to fall out with people that aren't in my pigeonhole? That's silly. And if someone says, you know, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not going to like that, where is the evidence for that? Where's the evidence for that? Or am I just being brainwashed here? Am I hearing something? Am I associating something with something just because it's been repeated over and over and over? And if so, okay, now I believe it. Why do I believe it? Where's the evidence for that? So I question everything someone tells me. If they say, well, you know, science says, everyone says, well, this research suggested, well, what was the research? Where is the science? Can you point me towards that paper? Give me the, you know, where did you get those statistics from? Oh, well, the stats say everybody knows this. Well, who's everyone? I want to see the evidence for it before I'll just, you know, accept it as the truth.
Do you know what? That's
go on.
Okay. I was just going to say,
we also know how even science, you know, the design of the experiment can be flawed, and the statistics can be manipulated to say whatever you like. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's also tuning into that gut feel, isn't it, as well, and saying, well, what does that feel right to me? Does that sit with me? Does that really seem to work? And there's like, you can get to that, as Susanna often tells us about this, go into your body and get a sense of a yes or a no, if it's right for you. And I think building that kind of insight, as well as going outside and looking at evidence, but also what's the evidence inside, and what does it feel when I try that on? Is that right or not? And I think often we discount that also. There's that gut feel, isn't that sense that we can tune into, as long as it's built upon the right foundation of the right openness to whatever is, rather than screwy beliefs that we might have. So I think there's that too.
There was a story that I watched actually, and it was brilliant, and it says basically everything that we're talking about. And it was, so this man's in his house, and he comes outside, and his neighbour comes out and says, "Don't come out your house because there's a massive bear in the woods, and it's coming into the town. It's been coming into the town like that." So the neighbour goes, "Oh, okay," and he stays locked inside his house, and he just doesn't come out. And so the other neighbour comes out, and the man comes out, "Don't come out. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone's talking about this bear that's just coming into town, and it's like, come out the woods, and you're not safe. You're not safe out here." So then you run in the house, and then you start looking at it, and it turns out, well, who is everybody? So you go back out. The neighbour goes back out and says to the other neighbour, "Well, who's everybody?" And he's going, "Well, everybody's talking about it. Everybody." He goes, "Well, I heard it from Joe Bloggs over the street." And he goes, "Okay, so Joe Bloggs over the street told you that there's a bear in his woods, but could that bear have been anything else?" "Oh, no, that was a bear. It was a bear. It was a big brown bear." Okay, so he goes over, the neighbour then goes over to Joe Bloggs and then goes, "Joe Bloggs, I hear that you've seen that there was a bear in our street." And he goes, "Oh yeah, there was a massive bear." He goes, "But I saw it. It wasn't in the street." He goes, "Yeah, I saw it right over there." And he goes, "Yeah, it was really big." And the neighbour goes, "But okay, so you're sure it was a bear?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it was a bear." And because he goes, and then the neighbour says, "Because you know that another guy's dog's been running around loose in the woods. Could it have been the dog?" And Joe Bloggs is going, "Oh, no, it's a bear. I'm sure it was a bear. It was big and furry, and like it looked like a bear. It had its eyes and stuff." And he goes, "Well, could it have been a dog?" Well, yeah, well, it could, because I didn't really see it was a bear, but I'm sure that it was a bear because, I've heard that there's a bear in the woods, and I've seen it, like around, and I know it's coming out." And then you go to the man, and it turns out it was the dog, so it's like, it's all hearsay. So the bear in the woods, which is actually a dog, which is, everybody's talking about it because everybody knows about it because it's the fear factor, and everybody wants to accept and acknowledge the fear factor. So it couldn't be anything less than that. And once they know it's the fear factor, they need to stay safe because they can't acknowledge it could just be a dog. No, it has to be the bear, so it's staying safe. And everyone's talking about it, but hold on, when you cut it down and you take it to where it is, when you find out it's a dog, where's the level? Is it okay now to come out? What are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the reality, or are you going to believe the fantasy that everyone's created and everyone's made up of the unsafety of it? So I thought that was a really interesting story. Like, facts and reality can be extremely different to what everybody is talking about and what everybody is saying. So yeah, I found that very interesting.
That is. I just ask us, can I just share a quick thing? It was in the local news, there was a talk of a wolf. Someone saw this wolf come out of a cornfield, and it got on the news. It was in the paper and everything else. And I spoke to my friend that lives in that village and said, "I hear you've got a wolf there," because they are in the Pyrenees. So we thought maybe it could have come a couple of hours this way. And she said, "No, it was just a dog. It was just the neighbour's dog." I said, "It looks a bit wolf-like, but it was just the dog." He said that it got this great big massive sort of media frenzy about the wolf in the shares, but
it's the story. It's the fear, because people like to be scared. They like to feel secure and safe. It's very important. And yes, it is really important, but it's also important to feel secure and safe from a place of knowledge, from reality, so that you're not living in fear of something that might happen, or not living in fear of something that everybody's talking about is happening that you don't quite know is real or not. You have to come from an informed, enlightened place.
It's like the monster in the wardrobe, isn't it? Just open the wardrobe and there's nothing there, but it's the fear of it is.
That's right.
You're scared to open and look.
Yeah. Anna.
Well, it's funny, and part of our NLP training, one of the things we actually did was get a load of tabloid newspapers, and the people that were training us were saying, "Right, we want you to read an article and underline everything that you could potentially question. So when you're reading through the article, a source said, da, 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 da. They think everyone does this, da, da, da." And it's quite a good exercise to try actually go through, especially a tabloid, go through and highlight or underline everything that you actually want to question. And you'll probably highlight most of that article. And it's really interesting, because if you read an article, or even if you just drive into the petrol station and just see the headlines, you just sort of glimpse at them, but they all sort of say a similar thing. That again is this like subliminal messaging which sits in your mind.
Yeah.
And people are really influenced by this. So if everybody has got similar headlines, and all you just happen to scan it, and then you don't even buy the paper, there's some of that going in your mind. Question everything. Yeah. And that's a really good exercise, just going through an article and just seeing how much stuff you can say, well, who said? Who is the source? Who is everybody? It's a really good thing too, because it kind of gets you questioning. And that's the way to protect yourself. And that's really, really important to protect you. I think that's one of the biggest dangers, I think, on social media is, you know, the dangerous messages that are coming in that can change the way we think, feel, behave, and not in a good way. So yeah,
I agree.
It's protecting others as well by not repeating it until you know.
Yes, don't repeat it until you know for a fact.
Because I remember my dad ringing up and saying, "Oh, you never guess what's happened. I've seen this on the news," and you know, he would relish telling me all this bad news. I thought, I don't want to hear this stuff. I don't want to know it. And I was just sort of bouncing it off me. I have this shield that I just bounce this stuff off now. I don't even let it in.
Yeah.
But it like gave him pleasure to tell me, couldn't wait to tell me this bad thing that had happened to somebody else in some other place that had no relationship to my life in any way. And it didn't help my life in any way to know this stuff.
Just need to raise the vibration.
But
it's different.
We've got to be careful, haven't we? Because sometimes it's hard not to pass it on.
Do you know what? It's people have different frequencies, and like if you can raise your vibration and just tune into that frequency up there that is happy and spreading love and light and positive, and you know, obviously there is stuff in our lives that needs to be taken seriously, and there is things, you know, it has to be you know, not everything is love and light, but it can be looked at through the eyes of love and light. And that's the thing. It's, you know, I was going to say something totally different, because my mind just races around like it does. My Hashimoto's, I get brain blocks sometimes, so I have to write things down so I don't forget them.
There's a programming right there.
Yeah, there you go. There. Oh, you've got it too. Do you get brain blocks? Ever? Do you ever forget anything? Seriously?
Yeah, you're just anchoring that with that. It's got nothing to do with it.
That's true.
You're programming yourself by saying that every time you say it. Now, what's Hashimoto's doing this to me? It's not.
Okay, now maybe it's just my brain. Okay, but my brain's working all right today, so I'm all right. I'm grateful.
I think you can get brain fog at times, but there are ways of managing that.
Yeah, no, I figured that one out. Cutting out gluten, that magic that was, and that was my own personal thing. So I was going to say, Goldman Sachs, another big corporate business. And you know, I'm massively into my cryptocurrency for 10 years now. And everyone back in the day, 10 years ago, were just basically saying, you know, it's rubbish, it will never take off. And my dad, I was like, Dad, look, just buy a little bit of this Bitcoin stuff. You know, 10 years ago, there was £6 each. Just, you know, buy a few of them and just say, no, you know, it's not worth it. I'm not putting my name to that. You wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, wouldn't touch it. Thought it was bad, thought it was the devil, all this kind of stuff. So okay, so I do what I do anyway. And then, you know, all the way through the banks, or the American banks, they're so anti-crypto. No, negative. But what they're doing behind the scenes is something totally different to what they're spilling out into the world, because they are gathering up the cryptocurrency. So now, a couple of weeks ago, banks were now allowed to legally in America hold and store cryptocurrency for their clients, right? They've now got that as a legal thing. It's all coming out now. And it just came out yesterday or today that Morgan Stanley. Why did I say Morgan Stanley? Help me out. What did I just say before? Not Morgan Stanley. The big bank. Goldman Sachs.
Oh, yeah.
Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. For God's sake. Goldman Sachs are now taken on two of the biggest exchanges as their clients now, which is Coinbase and Gemini. So now they're all upping Bitcoin, you know, and cryptocurrency. So it's really funny from going from this is the devil to now they're now taking them on and legally allowed to. It's actually legislation in America now. So it's very interesting. And what someone's saying might be not what they're doing. This is a very important thing to know, because what somebody's talking about, maybe just to get you off the scent of something else completely. So it's very, very important to stay aware and to go with your gut. What do you feel like? If you want to do something and it's not hurting anyone else or hurting yourself in any way, then flipping do it. Don't just listen to someone else turning around saying, oh, it's rubbish, or it's, you know, or never happen, or never work, because that's just in their opinion. But in your opinion, you know, if you believe it, you can achieve it. And then trust your gut. Trust your gut. That's what I would like to say.
And also remember, everything anyone tells you is only from their perspective, because that's one thing we always learn, right? We all have our own individual perspective based on language, memories, experiences, etc., etc., etc. So there is no two people in the world that see the world the same way. You know, we see our version of reality, but it's not reality itself. It's just our perspective. And that can be like, even the other day I was talking to someone about this and talking about even the most simple things we take as the truth. For example, when we talk about Iraq and Iran and Syria being in the Middle East, we call it the Middle East based on where we are in the world. But imagine you're in a different part of the world. It could actually be the Middle West.
Yeah.
Even the most basic things that we think is true, is it? Why? You know, kind of question everything. So things that people tell us are just from their perspective. It doesn't necessarily mean it's fact or reality or the truth.
Yeah.
It's just the tiniest things that we think is normal. Are they? What is reality? That's another topic for another day.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's a good topic.
I love that. Let's get on to the simulation theory. That's a good one.
What is reality? Oh, Susanna would like that one as well. She's really into it. Yeah.
This whole thing,
if reality.
We say in NLP, don't we, about the map is not the territory, and you look at
exactly,
and like the menu is not the food you're going to eat. It's just a menu, and you may or may not be disappointed with what you get, or very happy with what you get as food when you see this picture on the menu, and then you read the ingredients and everything else, but the taste and the flavor is down to something else completely different.
Yeah.
So, and like you're saying about Middle East, Midwest, and this sort of thing. I mean, look at the map of the world that we see in this globe, you know, which has Australia at the bottom, and then the UK's up at the top, higher up, and then Greenland's a certain size. Was actually, you know, South America is like much bigger than the North America, and yet it's always shown in a different. North America is always made to look bigger, and there's this whole distortion, and it just completely screws with your mind when you actually see how the world really is on a map, you know, and then you think, well, why not have it upside down? Because it's just a globe, we're just spinning in space. I know we have the North and South poles, but it doesn't mean to say
there's
south
no up or no down. Yeah.
It's true, isn't it?
And then I know that, I mean, we've all been through NLP, you know, we've been NLP to death, haven't we, with all our stuff. So we've cleared all our stuff out so that we can help other people. And the sort of the things that when you come up to these realizations that what you thought was true or isn't, or this belief you had isn't real, and your mind is just like expands and opens up, and anything is possible, and you think, wow, this place is a great place to be. And when you see that, and when you can help people with their issues as well, and they're able to expand their awareness and open up to more possibility, and they see this place that's beyond this box that they live in, that's made of all these labels that they live with, you know. I always start, you know, even your name, you know, your name isn't, you didn't choose your name, usually it's something you were given.
Yes.
It's the first, and we identify ourselves with our job, you know, I'm this or I'm that, and you know, are you? Is that who you are? Is that all you are? You know, can you be more than that even? You know, and slowly getting out into taking these labels off this box until there's no box left, and suddenly you're just able to just be this whatever,
Yeah, an entity. Because we apparently, I was watching something today actually, and it was by Gary V, who's incredible. Like, he's very straight talking. He's like a bit of a Tony Robbins, but more real, like straight talking, even more, bit more dirty, kind of gritty, you know, that kind of thing. And he was saying that you have a 1 in 400 trillion chance of becoming a human. You've got a 1 in 400 trillion chance of becoming a human. So when you look at it from that perspective, you know, that's you've got more chance of winning the lottery 5 times than you have of becoming a human being. And that is a gift in itself. You know, you've won the lottery, you have your life. So it's up to you to deal with your life, how you choose to deal with it. But remember, it is a gift. It is a gift. You're a lucky soul that has chosen to come to this planet, and you're here, you're human. So flip and make the most out of it. Don't live in fear. Don't live in anxiety. Live in reality. Live in the now. Live in what feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, what can you change to make yourself feel good? And just literally reprogram, rewire, whatever you need to do to get back to that ultimate you, that feel good you. Because you can. Basically,
I'm just wondering, Danielle, now where he gets this 1 in 400 trillion, whatever, how he made that calculation. I want to see the calculation now.
I'd like to know
that. I want to know.
Yeah, I'll send the
What's the evidence?
Yeah, what is the evidence? That is true. What is the evidence? But
I know what you're saying is like we are the product of amazing survivors to be here right now, us as humans. So our DNA has come through so much crap throughout the years. It's survived all the decades, all the millennia. Our DNA has got us here. So it's a survivor, you know, and you're here now because of that. Whereas many other DNA just didn't make it.
No, that's right.
So we can rejoice in that, and it's something to celebrate this life.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I'll post that link as well. I'll show you what I was talking about. It's probably said in there somewhere, but yeah, that's me. I'll take out the bits that I want. Just delete, distort, generalize. Take the bits that I find interesting. And
that's right. I mean, we use this as evidence, don't we? We use evidence to support our worldview. Yeah. And then we speak it as gospel, and then people are programmed. You know, the more you say it, the more people hear it. And if you hear it from different sources, even better, because that then reinforces it even more, like all the different headlines on the newspaper that you see. So it's something to, as we're saying, it's being aware and being careful of how we're being controlled and how we are also sort of programming ourselves and programming others. You know, how are you programming your kids? How are you? You know, what do you say? Are you teaching them to be critical thinkers?
Right. Oh, I love you too. Do you know what? It just, this time flies. And I know we were going to leave a little bit earlier today because people have got places to go, things to do in this 100-degree weather. So yeah, I think, Anna, because it was like your topic, is there anything else you wanted to say about anything?
No, I'm just following on from Kate, really. I guess people are always trying to program you. Companies are always trying to program you. That's what brilliant marketing campaigns are. They're brilliant ways of programming people to associate something with something. But you've got the power to decide what you let into your computer program. And ultimately, you've got complete control of your program. So you can let people put in code and program you if you want to, but you don't have to. You can take complete control of that. So just being aware means that you can take control.
Yeah, lovely. Absolutely brilliant. So today we're going to end it a little bit earlier, but I'm wishing everybody the most beautiful, wonderful weekend. I hope you got value in what we said. And as I say, please feel free to contact any of us, you know, that if we can help you in any way at all, because if you are in a place where you feel that you could maybe look at different things and just reprogram a little bit of your, if there's any negativity in your life that you'd maybe like to look at and find out where it came from and maybe just relook at it, you know, we can help you to guide you there. And just very lucky with the tools that we've learned, and to just on my main mission, I can't speak for the girls, but I'm sure we're all the same, that we just want to help. We just want to help and just get everyone back to feeling how amazing you can feel, because because it's yours, and you can take that. So have a wonderful weekend. Make the most of every second. Let it count. Wishing you love, light, happiness, and all those pretty things, and sparkles and glitters and all that. And I'll see you tomorrow for my motivational minute as well. So girls, can I just say a massive thank you to both of you once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I'm going to go live off of YouTube now. So let me just go live.